Would ask the city clerk for the second reading of item number 8.
An ordinance calling for an election in the city of Raytown, Missouri, and placing on the ballot the question of whether a charter commission shall be chosen to frame a charter for the city of Raytown, Missouri, and the names or groups of names of electors of the city who are candidates for the commission.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. If I could just take a moment, welcome your business to Raytown. We're glad to have you. Ms. Henry, do you have any additional information to add?
I have nothing to add at this time.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Kramer?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Mr. Josh Green?
I was just curious how, because I read something on this, but I can't remember if it's a fact or not, how alternates are chosen after the election and everything. If someone were to drop out of the charter commission, how an alternate is chosen.
I don't think that's covered.
I can answer that. According to the Missouri Constitution, they would be chosen by the charter commission themselves.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Mr. Jason Green?
I'd just like to say that according to the Missouri State Constitution, any municipality over 5,000 is eligible to try to get a charter, city constitution, or home rule. Currently in the state of Missouri, 38 cities have such constitution. I think it provides an opportunity to give citizens more autonomy within the municipal process. I would say that.
Mr. Van Busker.
Mr. Kramer?
Unfortunately, I missed the last meeting, so I missed probably a considerable amount of discussion, but I would hope that the board would entertain asking a few questions. Originally, we've had, I believe, 2 opportunities to put a charter through three opportunities, and have not been able to come
There's
to.
actually 4.
This is actually the 4th.
This will be the 5th.
5th. Okay. So 4 times it's failed. And Mr. Green, I know you're kind of a motivator on this deal. You put the people together, and so I would ask you what your motivation is.
Well,
If you care to address that,
Yeah,
I will allow it.
oh, thank you. Like I mentioned before, I do feel that, and again, I can't speak for everybody who's seeking a spot on the commission. I'm just one. But I do feel that it, again, provides an opportunity for citizens to empower themselves within local municipal government. I do like the idea that Raytown can set, their own home rule, if you will, as opposed to strictly operating on a 4th-class city status.
And I do understand that, but and of course we've had 4 times it's failed, and this will be the 5th time. To bring it up, what exactly is it through what we got going on right now that needs to be changed?
Well, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves right now. There's a lot of, I think we are, because there's, the folks haven't been elected to the commission yet. And that would be an opportunity after the April commission for those folks that were elected to have that conversation with, through public discourse, obviously, and through transparent avenues to do such. So I think it'd be ill-advised to have this conversation right now, considering I'm not even on the commission.
Well, I do understand that, but there was motivation, and when we went knocking doors to gather a petition to bring this charter issue up, and I would just love for you to entertain to the board and to the people out there what your motivation was to do this.
As I mentioned previously, anything I can do to empower the constituents in our community, I support it. Whether it gives them more autonomy over, their lives and decisions that the city makes, I think that's a positive step for Raytown. So, that's my motivation, and I hope that's the folks that do seek seats on the commission.
And I would say that the people of this community are empowered when they elect a board, and we've got processes in place. And the last 2 times that this has been brought up. It's been a very divisive issue to our community. So I guess I just don't understand. Maybe you have not resided in Raytown that long and don't recall that particular issue, but it was a very divisive issue. And I guess I would seek what kind of empowerment you want to give to.
Matt, step in for just a moment. I want to remind everyone that actually what we're doing tonight is an ordinance relating to calling to an election for this charter. Although the reason I have allowed the dialogue is because I think it's important to find out why we want to have that election, so I think it's important. I would ask that anyone who cares to be a part of that dialogue, that they would ask for recognition from the chair prior to speaking, and not just a dialogue back and forth between two aldermen. So, anyone?
Well, I also am very concerned about this ordinance because of the amount of money that it's going to cost to have this election, to have the charter process again, which would be the 5th time in so many years. And again, I also would like the reasoning behind this charter being brought forward at this time. But, you know, a lot of it is, I lived through the last one and it was very divisive, very costly to the city, and I really don't want to see that happen again. So that's what I'm concerned about.
Mr. Hurts?
Yeah, I want to get back. This was duly brought to us, and therefore it goes onto a ballot. And reasons for a charter, I don't think it was ever. A lot of people probably wanted a charter, and everybody had a different reason. That's why it always becomes so divisive. I do agree with since it is the people's right to know, that perhaps the wording of the ballot should be brought to us before it's finalized. I would like to see some reference to the people who are going to vote on this first question as to what the cost to their tax dollars is going to be in that. That would be my preference. But perhaps will we see the ballot again before it comes here, or is this it right here?
This is the way the ballot is stand. I do have a comment to the election board addressing that you're concerned with the amount that it would cost.
I would think most tax levies, all those things usually have some kind of financial analysis when you go to make a decision on things. That if that could be added, I hope we get a great turnout of people that want to spend a lot of time developing this. Hopefully, we'll get a wide variety of people. But of course, I have some concerns of having work elections in this town for the Eastern Jackson County Election Board, and also voting and participating in some of these charters. It's, to say the least, interesting.
The information that I got from the election board was also, you may want to include that in your information during this period of time before it gets on the ballot.
So there's a period of information.
A period of time.
Okay.
Where informational
in cost, staff time, things like that.
Or why would you have a charter? What?
Right. Definitely. Okay.
A bullet pointed thing of all the things that you could do in a charter format.
Right.
Along with addressing what it would cost to do that, and if it's like that.
Sounds like the goal. Tonight we're just voting to put it on the ballot. I think on the day, I completely agree with that.
Did you have a question? Mr. Asian?
Just like to share some thoughts with the rest of the board. I did participate in the last charter, and I think charters are good. Most cities have charters. Matter of fact, most cities, I think, function very well under charters. I really don't know if there's anyone that's got a charter that turned backwards, decided they want to do away with the charter. That being true, I think just being the fact that we have a poor history on charters doesn't make the charter bad. their alternative or what their motive was to bring this forward, to me is not important. It's fair to say they want a charter. And I was on the last charter committee. I wanted a charter. So the problem is not the charter. The problem is with the authors of the charter, whether they're good authors or poor authors of it, because they write the charter. And they will run for office, they will run for that office to be on that charter committee. And I think that, and having been part of the last one, because I was overwhelmingly in favor, I think as I look back, I think I probably initiated the ordinance to have a charter. And a lot of people signed up to be on that charter, and they went into it with, I think, very good intentions. But when it becomes a closed group, an elite group, where a few people control it and don't allow the rest to author that charter, and it becomes divisive, that's where our history's killed us. That's what happened last time. Because I myself, after participating in it, turned out against the very charter they wrote. And I think that's what we fear again. We not only wrote a charter, but yes, Alderman Nelson said we spent a lot of money because there were people who wrote that charter who kept calling the attorney every time they had a question, every time they asked a question. It had been $500, so they spent literally thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in asking questions to an attorney and then wrote a charter that was overwhelmingly defeated by 75% of the people, which doesn't make a lot of sense. 76 is nickel down. That is the danger, or that's the fear, at least I think, that some of us have. I do support the charter, writing the charters. I supported it before. But it's fair for all of us to cringe a little bit in fear, since none of us participated in that this another elite group might surface to write their charter with their own motives and spend a lot of city money and have it voted down. That would serve no purpose. It would be a waste of money. So, that's what I'm sharing with the public tonight, the rest of the Board of Alderman. Mr. Green, I do support the charter. I think it would be good for Raytown. If we write a simple charter, keep it simple like we intended to last time when we didn't, and give people options. So when we contemplate how much we're going to spend, because it costs money, I mean, you have to plan that in the budget. You can't tell a charter member, you can't call the attorney, so they can let it get out of control. So just keep that in mind. This is the responsibility we have as a Board of Alderman to consider when we deal with this. I do have one question for our attorney, because I will admit I taught social studies. I didn't know this, but last time we introduced a charter, we introduced it by ordinance through this committee. I was the one that I had support, obviously, and initiated the ordinance. Question is, this time it went directly to the county. Can you explain that process to me, because I don't know how that works. This was new to me.
I'm not understanding.
Well, they took up a petition, and so I don't, how many names are required on it?
The petition that was served here at the council meeting
Yeah.
to form a charter, along with 8 other petitions, or 7 other petitions, with names of members going to be charter commissioners. That was served here to the city of Raytown. It was taken to the county for them to check the signatures.
Okay, so it actually came to City Hall then?
They served the city clerk as they were
Okay.
supposed to.
And is there a certain number of names that are required for that?
I think it was... They needed 278.
Okay.
They had 309 that were approved on it.
And I asked not because I just want to know the law, that's all. And then once they introduce that, then we are required to introduce the
That's
charter. Okay. And that can happen any time or any year that they want. Is there a limited number they can do in a year? Or, like if it failed, how long would they have to wait, or would they have to wait to bring it back?
There isn't a term.
That's no, okay, that's all I want to know. Okay, thank you for answering that. I appreciate it.
Ms. Emerson?
Yes, I understand that people want a charter. I don't believe that it would be a problem for people to work together. I understand that last time they had many differences, and I just can't believe that people can't work together and form something very simple. Whereas I think the last charter, they were trying to overstep their bounds and getting some things through a charter that really shouldn't have been put there to begin with. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Josh Green?
My thoughts on this, people may have been divisive in the past on this, and I'm not saying that it's not going to be a rough road if a charter commission is formed and all that stuff, but what I am saying is that if we approve this tonight, all we're doing is we're providing people the opportunity to choose if they wish to form another charter commission and go through this again. And at that point, we're placing something on the ballot and letting people choose for themselves. And I think that's crucial to democracy. So I'll be supporting this tonight.
Mr. Kramer?
I am in support of a charter, don't get me wrong. I'm very concerned about the reasoning behind why it was kind of a gotcha moment, that it was delivered, it was planned, it was executed. At the podium up here, before when we had a charter, we had meetings about it, and we met and discussed what we wanted to try to accomplish. Before the whole charter process took place, there was about a year of planning. It wasn't a gotcha moment. I just found it ironic that one of the things that they mentioned is that they want to empower the people. And it was after a decision that was made that Mr. Green disagreed with by this board. And I really question the motive behind what he did. And how he delivered it. I do agree with the charter form of government. I believe it can work. As historically speaking, the last time what the citizens did was the exact same form of government we got, but just in a charter form, and we couldn't even agree on that. I will say there was great expense that went into that. There was one particular alderman, former alderman from Ward 1, that ran up close to $40,000 in legal expense by himself that the city had to negotiate. And you have no way of controlling that. I've got great concerns about this. As I said, I do support the charter form of government. I just find the timing ironic and question the reasoning behind it. Thank you.
I do have concerns about the motive behind this and why it's being proposed right now. I was in favor of the charter the last time it came before us, and we'll let the voters decide. I think that's good if we have informed voters. Unfortunately, many times we have misinformed or underinformed or uninformed voters that are voting, and they're influenced by things that they probably shouldn't be. They've been given misinformation, and it's unfortunate, but you just have to rely on the system. I spoke to some city officials from the city near St. Louis at an MML conference that I attended recently, and they're a charter city. but they're a prime example of where a charter is being abused and misused, where there's a group that is abusing that. Because of that, there's a lot of litigation going on in the city and recalls and all kinds of things happening. They said $100,000 now in legal fees, and they're expecting to probably do that again and duplicate that. Those kind of things control. So I think it is important as far as the motive and motivation for this. I would hope that if we do go, if this is approved by the voters, that we will get people on that commission who have what's in the best interest of our city. That should be what motivates people. And if that's not the motivation, then they're on there for the wrong reason. And is there any other comments? Mr. Jason?
I just have to conclude on this. I was only one of 309 individuals that signed this petition requesting that we have an election for a charter commission, and I would like to take a moment to encourage anyone interested in trying to take a stake in our community to sign up and try to run for commission yourself, hopefully on the April ballot.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the place the question runner on the April 8th ballot.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Jason Green, a second by Ms. Emerson. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Van Busker.
Yes, sir.
I'll just make a real quick statement.
Yes.
I do support the charter form of government. I do not support how this was brought forward to us. I do not support the vagueness of the answers by Mr. Green. I think it is very, very important that we understand the motivation why. And all I can say is it empowers people, but it can't get to be more specific than that. So I will not support this at this time.
Is there any other discussion, Mr. Joshua?
I think that this all is talk about questioning motivation behind it. The charter doesn't exist yet. We don't know who's on it. We don't know the motivation. I think we're going to a conversation going somewhere where it doesn't belong. I mean, you know, we don't know who's going to be on this commission, so therefore we cannot question the origin of why they're on it. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that I agree with who's going to be running or anything of that matter. What I am saying though is it's here, let's deal with it, let's vote on it.
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. I would ask the clerk to call.
Alderman Jason Green?
Yes.
Alderman Emerson?
Yes.
Alderman Nelson?
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot?
Yes.
Alderman Asia?
Yes.
Alderman Mock?
Yes.
Alderman Josh Green?
Yes.
Alderman Van Busker?
I'll pass.
Alderman Kramer?
No.
Alderman Ertz?
Yes.
Alderman Van Busker?
Yes. Okay, the motion passes. I would ask the clerk to please read item number 9.
A resolution establishing the process with regard to the nomination of candidates for a charter commission.
Ms. Henry, do you have any additional information
I do not at this time.
relative to this? Do we have any discussion?
Yes, my privilege.
Mr. Ertz?
Yeah, I believe this is what we gave Ms. Henry. She was asking for direction at the last meeting. And this reflects our direction that we gave her, so I would like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Who had a second? Okay. Mr. Ernst made a motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Josh Green. Do we have any additional discussion? I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderman Ernst,
Yes.
Alderman Josh Green,
Yes.
Alderman Jason Green,
Yes.
Alderman Van Busker,
Yes.
Alderman Asher,
Yes.
Alderman Mock,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer, Alderman Nelson,
Yes.
Alderman Emerson,
Yes.
Alderman Whitefoot,
Yes.
Motion passes. Would ask the clerk to read item number 10.
An ordinance establishing a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest for certain municipal officials in the city of Raytown, Missouri.
Is there any discussion related to this? Ms. Henry, do you have any information for us? Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, a motion to approve by Ms. Nelson, seconded by Mr. Ernst. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I was at the last meeting. Did you ask someone, the attorney or someone to fill in on what exactly this does?
Ms. Henry could probably do that for you.
This is a general housekeeping. We do this, the city has adopted this, or opted to do this every year. We're required to do it every other year.
Okay.
This is your personal financial disclosure statement that I file for you each year.
Thank you. I'll make the motion to approve that one.
Thank you. I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderman Nelson,
Yes.
Alderman Ernst,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Josh Green,
Yes.
Alderman Asher,
Yes.
Alderman Jason Green,
Yes.
Alderman Emerson,
Yes.
Alderman Van Busker,
Yes.
Alderman Mock,
Yes.
Alderman Whitefoot,
Yes.
Passed unanimously. We'll ask the city clerk to perform the second reading on item number 11.
an ordinance rescinding ordinance number 5453-13, which granted a change in zoning from neighborhood commercial and town square overlay district to neighborhood commercial and planned zoning overlay district on land located at 6200 Blue Ridge Boulevard, 10,016 East 63rd Street, and 10,028 East 63rd Street, in accordance with the provisions of the comprehensive zoning regulations for the city of Raytown, Missouri.
Mr. Benson, do you have any additional information to add? Is there any discussion?
Mr. Van Busker.
Mr. Kramer?
Yeah, I will not be supporting this. I don't like the fact that we're threatened with a lawsuit, threatened with withdrawal of the lawsuit. If we don't rescind this, I feel like it was a solid decision that was made. Wal-Mart has backed out, but what signal does it send to any other developer that might be out there? I think chances are we're going to struggle based on what happened to find people to fill that property. But to just keep changing things around like this, I think brings no benefit to the city whatsoever.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Jason Green?
Oh, yeah.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I'd like to support this action, speak in support of it. Number one, obviously, point that I brought up at the last meeting is that the countless hours by different organizations within this community helped set these previous standards, zoning standards, if you will. Not in regards, I talk about financial contributions, considerations, things such as that. I do believe that we have an opportunity to avoid possible legal considerations. I would also think it'd be moving forward to go back to those standards that were set in place by this community. I would like to make a motion that we delay this vote until the next Board of Alderman meeting so I can, and my previous, or my fellow Board of Alderman members can review any developing legal considerations that are taking place so we can make a more educated choice on this issue. Thank you.
I second it.
Mr. Willard, is that an appropriate motion?
Yes, the motion may be tabled, body, so.
Okay, so you're asking to table this motion?
Yes, yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm asking at the table this to the next Board of Alderman meeting to vote on this.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Lightfoot?
Well, I believe we've been over this topic for months through several planning and zoning commission, several alderman meetings, also much communication and involvement with staff and residents in Raytown. The lawsuit pending, that's been totally reviewed by me, and I think staff as well, I know. So I see no reason to not go ahead and vote on this today, get past this.
Mr. Hurts?
Yeah, I came prepared tonight to vote on this, so I would like to move forward.
Mr. Kramer?
I would not want to pass the vote on this tonight. I do find it disturbing that a fellow elected official and an alderman wants to discuss any lawsuit as if it's a blackmail type situation. I totally disagree with that, and I would hope that we would have this vote tonight.
Mr. Josh Green? Mr.
Would like to also go through with the vote tonight.
Ms. Emerson?
Yes, I'm the one that brought it forward. And the reason I did it was because the people, as you recall, that this chamber was packed with people and very, very few wanted to have the zoning changed. Not only that, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted no on it. They did not want to go through with it, so it came to us. Last meeting, I was referred to as disrespectful because of the way I brought it. They said there was procedures. I have never seen any procedures in writing, or have I ever given any verbal instructions on how to bring a vote. But I thought it was important because the citizens of Raytown did not want this to go through. And then Wal-Mart had decided not to come. I thought that we should return it to the original plan. That's all.
Any other discussion on the amendment? Mr. Jason Green?
Again, I'd just like to reiterate the fact that considering on the legal considerations that the city was just served, Mr. Nash, you can clarify, was this today, I believe, we were served?
I sent out an email that indicates at 9:40 a.m. this morning we got served.
Thank you. Considering that, I think it'd be prudent to delay this vote. It has nothing to do with blackmailing, if you will. It has everything to do with making an educated choice. So I resent those remarks. Just trying to make an informed decision on behalf of the constituents in our community. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Musper.
Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr.
My question in the blackmail comment was because you seem to have knowledge with this person that's brought a lawsuit forward, and you seem to have a great amount of knowledge on it. So my question is, thank you.
There's no knowledge on it, so I'd like to look at the lawsuit.
Mr. Green?
Sorry.
I already said my comments, thank you, appreciate it.
Mr. Lightfoot?
Well, this question is directed towards staff. Although regarding this discussion on the lawsuit, although it was served at the city today, has it not been public access and filed weeks ago?
The suit has been a public record since the date of its filing, that's the question, yes.
Yes, and do you know what that date was?
My copy's badly smudged, it looks like it's June 13 or 6, June 19, perhaps.
I think it's June 19th, I don't have my color copy.
Okay, so, like I say, I know we were just served today, but I know the city as well, the city has been aware of it since it's been filed, and it's been public document for weeks, so I don't think there's any significance in the serving being today, in my opinion. But going back to the actual, what this is about, the planning and zoning, and I am a planning and zoning commissioner, and I did go through all those meetings, and I did vote for it in planning and zoning, because I did weigh the facts, and I listened to many Raytown constituents, as well as many Raytown business owners, small business owners, medium-sized business owners. I listened to investors that all supported this development, that thought that this would help revitalize our downtown, that thought that it would rebuild our business base, that thought it would be a major step forward to progress and economic development for our city. And with all of those facts being heard by, there were business reports written about this in the Kansas City Business Journal of what a wonderful deal we had and how we bargained it and the whole shebang. I mean, we heard accolades from other cities of how we negotiated and what a great thing this would be for our city. So I've just got to stand with what's already been decided by the majority of the board. And this is a majority rule board. So that's my 2 cents.
Mr. And as far as what can go on that green space, it can still be whatever it was before. It's just a matter of going through the process again. This seems to be unfortunate. And I respect the thought, I really do, of going forward. But I want to end the divisiveness, and I don't see carrying this on longer and longer. I think it's time to start putting this behind us. If anybody came forward with a good, legitimate plan for our green space or our downtown, I think the whole board would be willing to always listen to whatever that would be. I would hope we would. I don't see any need for changing anything. I don't think that's necessary.
If the lawsuit is in progress, then no one else can come, and if they wanted to build something, they could not until that lawsuit was settled. Is that correct?
No, I don't believe that's correct. They would just be subject to whatever uncertainties created by the fact that the zoning would be up in question as a result of the filing of the lawsuit.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else? We have an amendment before us that was the motion by Jason Green, a second by Ms. Emerson, and that would be to table this until a date certain of
The next board of Alderman meeting, which
August
is
6th.
August
I
6th.
think it's August 6th.
Okay, thank you.
If there's no further discussion, I would ask the clerk to call the roll regarding the amendment.
Alderman Jason Green,
Yes.
Alderman Emerson,
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot,
No.
Alderman Mock,
No.
Alderman Van Busker,
No.
Alderman Ernst,
No.
Alderman Nelson,
No.
Alderman Asia,
No.
Alderman Josh Green,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer,
No.
The amendment failed by a vote of 7-3. So we need to move on to the original ordinance that was read to us. We have been going for a little over 2 hours, and I'm going to suggest that we take a 5-minute break before we continue. And well, we did vote. We haven't had a
No, it's your point of order. We haven't had more discussion on the
We haven't had a
ordinance.
discussion. We haven't had a motion on it as of yet.
We haven't had discussion, we had discussion on the amendment, not on, so I'll call point of order.
So when we come back, we will discuss the motion, or the ordinance, and we will entertain a motion at that time. 5 minutes. Okay, we had a second reading of bill number 6327-13. And we're now opening the floor to discussion relative to that ordinance. Any discussion? Mr. Rich?
I just want to, whenever, if the motion is made, that we're clear on, since it's a negative, on how that vote would go, whether it's a yes and affirmative or no. Just clarification on what needs to happen.
motion to
Of a
motion
motion.
to approve or a motion to.
It's either a motion to approve or a motion to, I think.
Okay.
I
Ms.
make a
Emerson?
motion that we approve.
I second it.
Second motion by Ms. Emerson, and a second by Mr. Jason Green. Is there any discussion? No further discussion? Okay.
Just want to make a clarification on this vote that it is, the motion is to approve rescinding the ordinance, and then it's listed below. Okay, thank you.
So a yes vote would be to rescind the ordinance, is that correct?
Correct.
A no vote would be not to rescind the ordinance. Okay. Mr. Adrian?
I think probably most everybody remembers my position when we voted the last time on this ordinance to approve the changing of the downtown plan. And I opposed that. I also, voted for the original ordinance that established that plan. And like everybody, I can't tell you how many dozens of phone calls. I'm sure I didn't get any more than anybody else, but there were a lot, and I listened to them. And the reason why I voted for that was because it was clear that they didn't want a Wal-Mart. That was the real question. But when the smoke cleared, it was not, as the author of this particular ordinance said. What they wanted was to keep the downtown plan exactly the same. Because what I do know is this, that we had 2 downtown leaders. One was an architect who supported Ida when she came in front of this board to build a chapel, a store, and an arena, to take the whole property. We would have had to change that ordinance to suit her also, to have done the same thing. And when I did hold discussion with the people that did call me, I want to know why they felt that way. I didn't disagree with them. I didn't hear clearly that they didn't like it, that they wanted to keep the downtown plan exactly the same. I heard things like Trader Joe's, Mariano's. I remember when Sue Frank was mayor, we even just talked with a group that was interested in possibly building a Bible college. much different than the downtown plan. And certainly that there are a lot of people that would like to see a medical building. So there are a lot of things that that really might be profited by as a city downtown beyond what the current plan is. And I think that's what the people of Raytown want the most. They want a good plan. This particular ordinance, even though it would have allowed the Wal-Mart to come in, didn't mean that we couldn't go and initiate the plan as originally was. It didn't erase that plan. What's important is that after it was over, Wal-Mart asked for their money back and they left the table. And now we've been served with a lawsuit challenging whether or not this board has a right to reverse an ordinance that they themselves passed. And I call that fair play. Everyone has a right to sue. And that's the real question. Does this board have a right to alter the plan that they I'm assuming that's what the actual lawsuit says. So for myself, I'd like to know if that's true. What are we allowed to do? Are we literally stuck with the plan and no one can ever change it? I think it should certainly save our economic development team a lot of time if they knew that it was totally impossible to build anything beyond a string of small stores. Regardless of my position, I've always supported democracy and the laws. I think that's important. And democracy says the majority rules. Yes, I voted against the Wal-Mart, but this ordinance passed, and indeed, I support that board decision. I think what bothers me about this particular ordinance now is that one alderman is asking the other alderman to change their votes because they didn't like the way they voted. I think those board members spoke on that. Because I don't think that we truly know what all the people of Raytown, or the majority of people of Raytown, do or do not want downtown. And I can only remember one time that an alderman ever brought an ordinance back to challenge another ordinance, and I will have to tell you that person was me. We had an animal ordinance that said basically that no pet would be allowed to procreate in the city of Raytown. And it also said that no person could have more than 4 animals of any kind, including fish and birds. And so I challenged that, and I brought back an ordinance to challenge that. Ordinance that has just been passed. But I think that's a lot different than what we have here. We have an ordinance that this staff put in months and months of work on. They had lots and lots of discussion. And it was a very heated, controversial issue. And when it was over, the board spoke. And I don't agree when one board member says to another one, I don't like the way you voted, so let's vote again. And for that reason, I'm not going to participate in this vote. I'm going to abstain.
Any other discussion? Mr. Joshua?
Sorry. I just want to share a few of my thoughts on this. Firstly, we all know, again, I guess as Jim said, we all know how we all voted on this. My primary concern, however, when it comes to rezoning this property back, as much as I would like to see it go back to multi-use, I think that the timing on it is kind of, for lack of a better term, poor. I think the fact that you go from zoning that to zoning right back in less than, 2 months? Less than 2 months. I think that shows a lot of instability, and I think that shakes investors away. That being said, I would love to see a multi-use downtown. I'm not saying let's never go back to that plan. What I am saying, though, is I think the timing with this is poor, and that we should revisit it possibly later down the road.
Mr. Lightfoot? Just a side note, by the way. City of Independence last night just approved a new neighborhood market for Wal-Mart at 35th and Nolan. The city now has a new plan, and there's no obligation or reason to continue with the old plan that failed for so many years. It failed to create development in our downtown area. And I believe we'd continue to do that if we revert back to it. This was done by another board many years ago. We certainly have no obligation to stand by that or reason to do it if we see reason to do something other than that, which we have. So I think instead of going forward, this would we'd be going in reverse. And I see absolutely no reason to do that. And anyone wishing to develop a town square patterned, development there, certainly still can do that. If they want to do that, they can do that at any time. That's not a problem. We haven't eliminated that possibility. Just the fact that it hasn't been done and no one has came forward to do that after all these years, that lot is set vacant and still sits vacant. It's a vacant lot. Everyone likes to call it the green space, but it's a vacant lot. And let's call it what it really is. We need something there to bring business to our downtown, to bring growth. I noticed, I hate to say this, I hate to announce that, but we lost a dress shop on 63rd Street that opened not too long ago, but they went out of business. I can tell you exactly why they went out of business. There's not enough traffic down to this area to sustain that type of business. We need to bring people here. Something has to bring people here. If that doesn't happen, those businesses can't survive. Any other discussion?
Mr. Van Buster.
Yes.
Every once in a while I break out with a quote that I love is, you can't change anything if you don't change anything. If you got something that's broken and it hadn't worked and this plan hadn't worked for 12 years, to sit here and just blanketly say, well, we're going to stand by that decision, even though it hasn't worked, we have these dreams of utopia, and so we've made a change because change needed to be made. If you go to the end of the street and every day you take a left turn and you never turn right, you're never going to know what's on the right side. You just know what's on the left side. And by rescinding this, it sends a clear message to any developer that wants to come to our community that they should fear that decision to come to our community because somebody might bring that vote back up to rescind it. So I cannot support this.
Any other discussion? Okay, I would ask our city clerk to call the roll and remind everyone that a yes vote would be to rescind, a no vote not to rescind.
Point of clarification, who made the motion to?
The motion was made by Ms. Emerson, the second by Mr. Jason Green.
Okay, I just can't remember, thank you.
Alderman Emerson?
Yes.
Alderman Jason Green?
Yes.
Alderman Mock?
No.
Alderman Josh Green?
No.
Alderman Lightfoot?
No.
Alderman Nelson?
No.
Alderman Van Busker?
No.
Alderman Kramer?
No.
Alderman Asia?
Abstain.
Alderman Ertz?
No.
The ordinance failed, motion failed. I would ask the clerk to perform the second reading